Welcome to Southern Maryland Sports Journal, standing on top of the world, inside Crustacean Nation here at Regency Furniture Stadium, with great show to the friend. You're great now. You used to be good friend of the show. Now you're great.
I'm great. I'm an intimate friend.
Dallas Cogle, Southern Maryland News.
Travis Thomas and the whole St. Mary's County.
That's it.
Viewing
That's
network.
it. And we're here, as you can see, covering some Blue Crabs. Of course, Dallas covers the Blue Crabs. So, Dallas, I got to talk to you, man. So far this season, not going so hot for the Blue Crabs. They've had such success over the years. They've built these expectations here now. So far this season, not living up to it. What's going on, Dallas?
Well, a lot of things. Number one, new manager this year, Lance Burkhart. He's come in from Lancaster. He was there as their bench coach and hitting coach, and they hired him to replace Pat Osborne. And Lance Burkhart is putting his kind of touch and imprint on this team. They are a much different team than what they've been the last few years. A lot of turnover. Sometimes you look at places of employership, and you have a lot of people who come in and a lot of people who go out. Big turnover rate. That's what they've had here at the Blue Crabs this season. He's kind of bringing in his players. There's other players who've decided to move on, players they've traded, players they've released. But amidst all that, really the number one issue with the Blue Crabs has been their offense. From May 13th through the 26th, they only had one game out of 14 where they scored more than 3 runs. They lost 12 of those 14, and that pretty much did them in. They've scored a little bit better as June hit, but the offense has not really clicked, and he'll tell you that, Lance Burkhart, the manager, will tell you that. The pitching has been pretty good. It's dropped a little bit as the first half.
I was going to say it's always pretty good, but it's dropped
a little bit throughout the latter part of the first half of the season. The fielding has also hurt them. They have not really had their go-to shortstop. A visa situation. He's from Venezuela. Renny Osuna, who was an all-star last year, and also Jesus Merchant, who was a catcher. Both those guys they were leaning on to be starters at their positions. Neither one of them are here yet this season because of visa situations. They're hoping by the second half of the season they'll have those guys.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned the second half of the season, because that brings me to my next question of, so far not so good the first half as we approach the All-Star break here. In your estimation, what do the Blue Crabs have to do second half of the season to right the ship, turn this thing around, get back on track?
The best thing to do, because keep in mind the Blue Crabs are right now on an Atlantic League record 5-year playoff streak. They've made the playoffs the last 5 years. Now, granted, the last 3 of those years they were in the easier division, the Liberty division, in the regular season. Right now they've been realigned going into this season into the Freedom division, which has been the tougher of the 2 divisions the last 3 years. So the number one thing when you're looking, you got to win one of these halves of the season. They didn't win the first half, so they got to win the second half, more than likely to get into the playoffs. You got to get off to a fast start. In the Freedom division, if you get off to a slow start, you're probably not going to be able to play catch-up. There's 2 good teams. Lancaster's a good regular season team. York's a good regular season team. And Sugar Land, which came on the end of the first half, they're going to be right in the hunt. They've proven over the last 2 years now, a year and a half, to be a great regular season team. You got to get off to a fast start and got to get this offense rolling. The pitching will be there with the Blue Crabs. They have a pretty quality starting staff, good bullpen. Jim Ed Warden, who's been around forever. He just set the all-time Atlantic League saves record in the first half. You can rely on him. Even if he has a few little kinks in the armor, he always gets it straightened out. So the offense and then the fielding, get off to a fast start and you have a shot in the second half.
Now, Dallas, you cover this team, as I mentioned. Give me a little conspiracy theory here. Switching divisions with all the success of Blue Crabs, is that to create parity? Is that something the league's doing here?
It sounds like it, and I like the way you're thinking. That definitely makes it more interesting. Actually, and it's a great question, the reason they switched divisions is they're preparing for a Texas division in the Atlantic League. You got Sugar Land. They're going to be expanding over the next couple years more into Texas. And so what they wanted to do is kind of have the divisions to be more geographically aligned. And so right now the Blue Crabs and the Freedom division are closer to their teams in their division. You still, right now, with the 2-division league, you still play everyone the same amount of times, no matter which division you're in. Once they go to a 3-division league, if they're still going to play a 140 game schedule, 70 games in each half is what they're scheduled to play, then you won't play everyone the same amount of games. So your division teams, you'll play more, and of course for travel purposes, that'll make it a little bit easier on these teams, and costs and all that goes into travel.
Now, it's hot as you know what out here today, so in honor of that, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Coming into the All-Star break here, then it's the second half of the season right after it. Give me a prediction. Do the Blue Crabs right the ship and get back in the playoffs, keep that streak continued, or do you think it's over?
Well, I think my heart in me says they right the ship. Here's the beauty of independent minor league baseball. You reset. It's like a brand new year after the All-Star break. So you go into the second half of the season, and they could easily right that ship. However, you've got to change the way you're playing in this first half. If they continue to have the fielding issues and their fielding isn't bad. They've got good fielders, but they've had key fielding errors in certain situations. And if their offense doesn't get together, that's number one priority. Then we're not going to see another playoff season this year in Southern Maryland. I believe that talking to Lance Burkhart, I've talked to him over the last couple of weeks about this second half of the season roster for the Blue Crabs is going to look different than even what they look like going into the end of the first half, which was quite a bit different from the beginning of the season.
Right.
And he is guaranteeing he's going after some big sticks. They've had some big sticks leave. They had a big arm leave in Brian Burris, who was a former major leaguer, played for the Baltimore Orioles. Brian Burris got signed by the Colorado Rockies organization. He's at their AAA team, Colorado Springs. So they lost him, but they got Darryl Thompson in.
I like him.
And Darryl Thompson was an all-star last year in the starting rotation. So, I think the pitching will be all right. I think the fielding will straighten itself out. Those sticks, Lance Burkhart's got to get those sticks into the team, and he says he's going to sign some for the second half of the season. And the existing sticks that remain, the bats that remain, have to perform at a higher level.
Yeah. Should be an exciting second half of the Blue Crab season.
That's right.
Dallas and I will be here covering it every step of the way.
That's right, man.
Always a pleasure having you.
Cracker Jacks and singing the seventh inning stretch song.
That's it. Thank you for watching Southern Maryland Sports Journal with me, Travis Thomas, exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10.
Yes.
Changing times brings changing needs. That's why, for your convenience, Booth's Heating and Air have extended their service hours to 10 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, at regular service rates. Through rigorous training classes and courteous business practices, Booth's technicians always go above and beyond to provide you with award-winning customer service that you can trust. Booth's Heating and Air, serving the Southern Maryland area since 1993.